Yo, what's going on out there, fight world? This your boy Manny back with another one, fam. And this one here is on the post fight to Gary Russell Jr. versus Magsayo. Magsayo has defeated Gary Russell Jr. to become the new featherweight WBC world champion, my brothers and sisters. Congratulations to Magsayo, bro, on the victory over Gary Russell Jr. to crown himself and to make history. Make history by becoming a world champion at the featherweight division. His name will be in the history books forever now, man. Right? Manny Pacquiao fighter. He went out there, he did it for the Filipino people. The Filipino people stand up. I say Filipinos stand up. Congratulate y'all new WBC world champion, man. He fought a hell of a fight, right? He went out there against a veteran. He went out there against a high-class elite fighter in Gary Russell Jr., one of the best in the game right now, and he got the victory. I said he got the victory. Now, when we look at the fight, we all seen Gary Russell Jr. having an injury. No excuses at all, right? We don't make no excuses at all. Once you step inside that ring, once you make the decision to get inside that ring, all the excuses goes out the window. But as we looked at the fight, it was a highly competitive fight. Even with Gary Russell Jr. having one arm, he went out there and performed at a high level. He used his high IQ. He used his legs. He used his angle. He used his feints, right? And he was marking to shots that Mark wasn't really seeing. You dig what I'm saying? Early on, Mark could have put more pressure out there. He could have put on more pressure, but Gary Russell had him thinking, right? Gary Russell had him thinking. You got to credit Gary Russell, for having that style and having the IQ to force Mark to do what he wanted to do at times. Because sometimes Gary forced Mark to throw, and he was able to counter, right? He was able to throw the jab out there. Not the jab. He was able to throw the straight out there. Gary Russell couldn't really use his straight. He couldn't really use his hook. So he had one arm. He jab, try to hook at times, try to go to the body to wear him down, things of that nature. And he was having success. Gary Russell was having success. But it wasn't to the extent to where he was pulling apart and really dominating. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't really dominating, but he was having success using one hand and one arm. When you look at Mark was picking his shots as well. Mark was trying to counter. Mark threw shots out there where he missed at times, but sometimes he did land good shots, especially on the slick Gary Russell. You don't want to overexert yourself and miss and pay, and I think that was his worry was missing and Gary Russell making him pay. So every time he missed, Gary Russell make him pay, and I know he was wondering, like, how the hell am I getting hit with this shot? And this man only got one arm. So I know that was kind of bothering him in the ring to where he's like, I got to make a few adjustments. So he started going to Gary Russell's body at times as well. When he started going to the body, he started seeing more success. And when he started going to the body, he was able to get in even a little closer to the small Gary to where he was able to land his shots, things of that nature. And it's crazy when you say he had to get in close to the smaller man, right, to land shots. But Gary was being very smart, very elusive. Mark was throwing that uppercut that was landing early on, and that uppercut had me kind of nervous in the beginning because I kept seeing Gary Russell bend down, and Mark was trying to meet him with the uppercut. And it was times where he came close. He came close, but he couldn't quite land it all the way because Gary was blocking it partially. But I think that had Gary a little worried as well. But as the fight went on, Gary Russell started getting a little wind. He started getting a little tired because, you're moving around. And Mark, he putting on the pressure, keeping the pressure on. And, when you got one arm, it ain't too much you can really do. It ain't too much you can really do. And the tricks that was working earlier wasn't working late. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't working late. So Mark started picking up on that. He just started putting the pressure on, bro. Start putting the pressure on, really saying like, okay, this man got one hand. Why am I still sitting up here not letting my hands go, right? And as you can see in the later rounds, Mark started letting his hands go more. You dig what I'm saying? And I'm quite sure Freddie Roach was telling them that too. Like, you got to let your hands go, man. You got to let your hands go. This man got one fucking arm. You can't be sitting back being afraid of his counter shot because Mark was a little hesitant of the counter shot. So, it was a close fight leading up to the 9th, 10th, and 11th round. But once you got into those championship rounds, I thought Mark, did what he had to do to pull out them championship rounds. Now, I know people going to be like, well, he didn't do too much more than Gary. But at the end of the day, when you got two hands to one, you're going to always look like you're winning to the judges. You feel what I'm saying? it's going to always look like you're winning to the judges. And Mark could have, he could have pressed the action a little bit more if he was really mindful of those things. But like I say, the experience of Gary Russell Jr., the angles of Gary Russell Jr., the high IQ of Gary Russell Jr., had Mark second guessing himself at times. You dig what I'm saying? It had him second guessing himself at times to where he like, God damn, I don't want to get hit with this shit, because he felt like he wasn't supposed to be getting hit with certain shots for Gary Russell. And the truth is, he shouldn't have. You shouldn't have been getting hit with certain shots by a one-hand man who only got one trick in the ring right now. But the angles that Gary was taking, how Gary was short and how he was bending down, it had Mark, a little hesitant to throw. You feel me? Had him a little hesitant to throw. But once he figured it out, he started putting the pressure on and he started landing. The good thing that Mark kept doing, though, was continue to put the pressure on. Continue to put the pressure on, because if he would have stopped and tried to box the one-hand Gary Russell Jr. and let Gary, dictate the pace and let him sit back and think in the ring with one hand, it probably would have been a different story. But he didn't, right? He didn't. He continued to pressure, and he didn't really have to worry about nothing really hard coming back at him, right? Gary wasn't able to really set up nothing. You set up everything off the jab. You set up everything off the jab. And as you can go watch the fight, Gary Russell's jab hand was hurt. He couldn't really use that hand. So, they kind of failed him at this time. Now, a lot of people say, well, why would Gary go in there and put himself in that position? I was thinking the same thing. Like, if you know you're injured, bro, if you know you're injured, you shouldn't go out there and put yourself in that position against a hungry fighter like Mark Magsayo, who's 26 years old. He's young, right? He wanted to become world champion. You 33, right? The energy is going to be there. He's going to match your energy. He's going to match the intensity, bro. He's young. You're not going to push the pace on him like that. Like, you're not going to deter him from not coming forward. So if you know that you're hurt and you know that you're injured, and it's a serious injury like that, like when you in the ring, you only got one fucking hand to use, and you're going to have one hand to use, it's like you can't go in there like that. You can't. I know you want to be a warrior and things of that nature, but you got to be smart. You got to be smart, bro, because now nobody want to hear excuses. Nobody want to hear excuses, bro. If you knew that you was done for like that, and I know it's a big-time show. It's Gary Russell Jr., it's Mark Magsayo, the undefeated young lion going up against the veteran, the longest reigning WBC champion. It's a lot behind the show. It's a lot of money behind the show. And pushing the show back could cause some animosity, or it could cause some people to be pissed off like, God damn, right? This how we starting the schedule off, and now we got to push it back. You feel me? So I'm quite sure I respect them for wanting to keep the show going. But you got to worry about yourself and your health. You have to worry about yourself and your health, right? Now, credit, Gary Russell was skillful enough to make it through all 12 rounds, right, with one fucking hand, but we see the outcome. We see the performance, and it wasn't the best Gary Russell. I mean, everybody can attest to that. That was not the best Gary Russell. And a lot of people going to say, well, if Gary can take him 12 rounds and, get a majority decision loss, what you think would happen if he had both his hands? Of course, right? That's why he was the favorite. That's why a lot of us picked Gary Russell to win, because we thought he was the better fighter. But you can't make no excuses now about, if he had both hands. He knew his situation. So he knew he didn't have two hands. So we can't say, what you think would have happened. It doesn't matter what would have happened if he had both hands. We know what happened tonight. He took the L. And it's because of the choice that he made. You feel me? You made that choice. You have to live with it, my brother. You made that choice. You have to live with it. You feel me? Can't nobody fault Mark Magsayo for going out there doing what he had to do to win that fight and become the world champion, baby. Right? It's his night. Let him enjoy his night. Like I say, the Philippines, y'all stand up. Stand up. Manny Pacquiao took an L to Yordenis Ugas. He just put y'all back on top with a big-time win over the longest reigning WBC champion, over the longest reigning champion in general, 6 years and some change. 6 years and some change. Gary Russell has been a champion for 6 years and some change. So, salute this man. Give him his just due. Give him his flowers. Let him enjoy his big-time win. Because Manny Brown, I'm not in the game of taking people joy away from him. Hell no. Mark Magsayo went out there and won this goddamn fight. He deserved this fight. You understand? He deserved this fight. He did what he had to do. He went out there. He fought like a warrior. He went into the mouth of the lion. Gary Russell was the lion. But at the end of the day, Gary Russell wasn't good enough tonight. He wasn't good enough tonight. No excuses. None whatsoever. Right? So now we'll see what's next for both fighters. Like I say, I give fighters at least 2 weeks to enjoy their victory. That's 14 days, man. That's 14 days to enjoy this victory. And Mark looked like a great fucking guy, bro. He looked like a great guy. You feel me? And I respect him, bro. I respect him. I respect Manny Pacquiao to the fullest. I respect the Filipino fighters in general, right? Great people. Great people. You feel me? So now we'll just see if Gary Russell petitioned for the rematch. We'll see if Mark will give him the rematch, right? Gary gave him the opportunity to become a world champion. Will Mark go out there and say, you know what, I want to, go out there and leave no doubts in people's minds to the ones who say that he was injured and things of that nature. I want to go out there and show that I am a real champion, leave no doubts. I give him a rematch. Or do Mark see a bigger fight out there that's for him at 126, right? Do you see a unification bout against somebody that you want to take that probably got more money, that's probably a bigger name, right? So we'll just have to see, bro. We'll just have to see. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, I give each fighter 2 weeks to enjoy their victory and then get back to the business side, because the Lions and the Wolves are going to come hunting. The Lions and the Wolves are going to come hunting. You feel me? Once again, though, man, tonight was a hell of a night. Tonight was a hell of a night. I enjoyed tonight of boxing. Thank you, Showtime, for the output. The 3 fights on this card were fireworks. They were fireworks. You dig? And everyone enjoyed it, man. I know it's going to be a lot of controversy talk about this fight, but at the end of the day, to Manny Brown, the right man won the fight. Congratulations to Mark Magsayo. Congratulations to Manny Pacquiao. Congratulations to the Filipino people. You know, y'all got y'all a good W tonight, man. Let's see where Mark go from here. Let's see where Gary Russell go from here. Until then, it's your boy Manny. It's the NSBC moving. Ain't nobody safe in these streets. Hit them thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you want to donate. OG Money on Cash App. TreyHampton52@gmail.com on PayPal. If not, just tell a friend. Hit the subscribe button. Like, comment, share the videos. And y'all know how your boy get down, man. Big dog status, family.